Severe and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app. Here are Michael Severe and Damon Benning.
Halftime on Severe and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, encouraging you as always to drive sober or get pulled over. It is a safety message from our halftime sponsor, also encouraging you not to roll and scroll. Mike, put that phone away when you drive. Put it in your glove compartment, put it in the little center compartment, whatever. Don't have the phone out while you're driving. Again, safety message from our halftime sponsor, Mike Dugan, my neighbor and local youth coach, joining me here this morning on Severe and Benning in the morning since Damon is off. We are joined now by Sarah Baker Hansen, Omaha's food critic, sarahbakerhansen.com, joining us here on Severe and Benning in the morning. Good morning, Sarah. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
We are good. We were just talking, because we both live in the Midtown area, about that little area on Center heading back towards like 36th and 35th. You had a chance to check out one of the places over there, Carter and Rye.
Yeah, that area is kind of like blown up out of nowhere.
Yep.
I haven't really, thought about it in a while, and Carter and Rye is over there. They if you go to the farmers market, you've probably seen Kate Anderson and her hand pies, which she's actually been making for a couple of years now around Omaha. And she opened a little brick and mortar over on the around 35th and Center, and it's only open on weekends. And she makes 2 savory and 2 sweet hand pies every weekend, and she has some amazing locally brewed coffee in her shop as well. And the day I went, I just happened to get really lucky because she had made a hand pie called a funza.
Yeah,
and I think you can guess where this one's going. Right. But I think by this point, if you've read any of my work over the last decade, you know that I'm a big fan of the runza, and this was sort of take on the runza with a similar filling, sort of with ground beef, cabbage, cheese, plenty of pepper, and she kind of wrapped it all in her super buttery, really flaky pastry that she uses for all of her hand pies. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. It was pretty great.
Yeah, you have that right there. Then you have the Sunny Side on Center, and then across the street you have the what is that called? It's a little brewery. They make the beer, and they have side foods over there too. Viz Major or something like that. Yeah,
Viz Major. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So it is growing, and of course you just have the little breakfast burrito place right there too. So I mean, there's something for everybody. Yeah, and I've actually heard. I have not yet been to Sunnyside on Center, but wow, have I seen people talking about it on the internet. I mean, I think we talk about how people like breakfast and brunch so much. Oh yeah, and I think it's really interesting that that's sort of like become like a little brunch pocket in Omaha, where you can kind of get yourself either a weekday breakfast if you like, which is, pretty old school, or probably maybe more popular at this point, a weekend brunch or breakfast spot. And just feels kind of like cool and special to go over there and check it out. Mike was telling me about this place called Good Lookin'. What was the good stuff at Good Lookin', Mike? I had a breakfast burrito there a couple weeks ago. It was fantastic. And it's on Davenport? On Underwood. On Underwood. Have you been there? Good Lookin'? No, it's right across from Blue Line Coffee on Underwood. It's where it opened there. I think it's been open a few months. Another new breakfast place that I have just been hearing rave reviews about, people really, really enjoying it. Yeah, in terms of, you mentioned breakfast burritos, Mike did a second ago. I know someone on Twitter asked you about finding a great breakfast burrito. Is there a go-to one for you? Well, if the kind of responses to that tweet are any indication, people have opinions that I was unaware of about breakfast burritos. And people really, there were quite a few responses, and they were kind of all over the map. And one of the big suggestions that people really mentioned was actually the green chili breakfast burrito at Sunnyside on Center. So I thought that was like an interesting tie into what we were talking about this morning. Yeah. Mike has a question for you that is the question that you receive probably 5 or 6 times a day. Go ahead, Mike. Yeah. Okay, so, and this is kind of a vague question, and I'm sorry for it, but you've probably been well-versed, like Michael said. If you have, like somebody coming in from out of town, what would be 3 places in town that you would tell them, must places that you need to go to? Oh, man.
That is a question I get asked a lot. I get a lot of Twitter DMs with this exact question. People want to know like where they should take their friends or where they should go. In fact, one of my former World Herald coworkers asked me this question just the other week for a person that she had coming into Omaha. But, I think it depends on it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on, what kind of food the person likes.
Yeah.
But if we just were to say some of the Omaha classics, I think a lot of people come to Omaha and they want a steak experience.
Yes.
And so for that, I would, historically, I probably would have taken them to, one of kind of the real old school classics, like maybe a Johnny's Cafe I'm going to give you more than three, so I apologize.
No, please.
Like the Johnny's Cafe on South 24th, I think is a really fun place for people to see.
Mm-hmm.
Now the oldest restaurant in Omaha,
Yeah.
kind of, gives you a little bit of history of the stockyards. But I had some friends in town last week, and I really encouraged them to go try the Reuben at the Blackstone or the Cottonwood, now the Cottonwood Hotel, because I think that's like such a fun part of Omaha history. And also, I think the Reuben is just absolutely delicious. So I would definitely send them there. I would always take someone to La Bouvette in the Old Market. It is my favorite restaurant, and I think people are always really surprised to see this sort of like little slice of Paris in downtown Omaha, because that's truly what it is. So I guess that is three, but I feel like there's so many more choices. Omaha is so lucky to have as many restaurants as we do, and so many good restaurants at that. I probably would also take someone to Block 16.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty great choice for lunch, and what Paul and Jessica do over there is just so, singular to Omaha, and they have such a following here. So I don't know. I guess those are some places I would definitely recommend going.
Sarah Baker Hansen joining us here at SarahBakerHansen.com. I just had this happen. My cousin came in from L.A., and the three places, we took her to Block 16 for lunch. Her friend took her to Au Courant for the chef's dinner. And then for Saturday in the afternoon, they went to Yoshitomo to get really good sushi. That was the three that she ended up going to. And she was very happy.
I mean, such great choices. Like I also, the same friend that I had in town this week, the last time he was in town, which was a couple of years ago, he follows what I write. He was like, we got to go to this Yoshitomo place. Like, I really want to check it out. And anytime I've taken someone there from out of town, they have just been blown away, kind of from top to bottom by the experience. Just the care that's put into the food, the innovative nature of the menu, and just kind of everything about it is really, really cool.
While we have a lot of new restaurants opening up, Jack and Mary's, longtime fried chicken place, ended up having to close. They battled through the whole COVID thing, didn't make it. Just thoughts on losing another older restaurant in Omaha?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to see these older restaurants, just get knocked out by the pandemic. And, I think a place like Jack and Mary's, I had eaten there many times over my life, of course, living in Omaha, and also, as I've been writing about food. And I think it was particularly hard for those places to pivot their model because, as we've talked about so many times over 2020, some restaurants just aren't designed for takeout. Some restaurants are really about, the dining experience, and that's kind of who their customer is. And I have to think to myself that Jack and Mary's was probably kind of one of those types of neighborhood places where a lot of their customers enjoyed the experience of going there and weren't really interested in takeout as much. So, I have to think that's probably part of it. But, yeah, it's sad to see those old restaurants go because, of course, that's all part of the history of the food culture here in Omaha.
Yeah, and you basically described the Dundee Dell, and when they ended up closing, the reason why, because they were more of a place you sit in and eat your fish and chips, but reopened now with new owners. What do you think about the new spot, the new place?
Yeah, so I accidentally went to the soft opening of the Dundee Dell.
Nice.
I didn't know that it was, we walked by it, and I had a work thing in the neighborhood at one evening, and I was like, oh my gosh, the Dell looks open. And so Matthew and I went in there and had an amazing experience. And I think what they've done with it is so cool. They've sort of taken what, I think what everyone knew and loved about the Dundee Dell, sort of of course, the fish and chips, and the cool atmosphere, and sort of really updated it in a way that's super respectful to what it used to be, but given it kind of a new lease on life. And I really liked what they had a very small menu in there. Soft opening, only 4 or 5 items, but I thought it was really interesting. They had sort of refocused the menu primarily on like the type of food that you would see in like a British pub.
Oh.
And so I thought that was so great because fish and chips and some of the other dishes on this menu were really, you know, I've been to London several times, and it is what you see when you go to a British pub. You know, that's what you get. And so I thought, what a smart way to offer something that, you know, people love and want to have at this place, but also give them this sort of like curated experience of what, you know, what a British pub would really be like. So it was neat. And they've got a bartender, a local guy, a younger guy on staff who's making craft cocktails. And I know has some really fun things up his sleeve. So I am really excited to go check it out again and see their full menu and for sure write something about it.
Dundee Dale got it all cleaned up and fixed up and reopened the same spot there in Dundee.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
It's also National Lasagna Day. Now, I used to like to go. Was it called Grisanti's? That was over 114th, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
I used to love going there because they had really good bread.
Their bread
They had
was
great calamari.
amazing.
That place ends up closing. What is your go-to? I know obviously La Sommiel is big, but what's your kind of go-to Italian place in Omaha?
Oh, Lord. Oh, that's really hard. Like to choose one.
We've had a few close, right? Because we also had that
yeah.
place over in Council Bluffs that was very good that we went to a couple times that ended up closing too.
Yeah. I think specifically, you know, Dante has to be, you know, right up there for me.
Right.
And speaking of lasagna, you know, I don't think they do it in the summer, but I know in the fall and winter they have a lasagna night. And it's one night a week where you can get their homemade lasagna. And I can tell you for sure, if you like lasagna, you will love the version of it that they make. I mean, it is layered with sauce and meat and homemade pasta and cheese. It's just delicious. It's so good, in fact, that a couple of years ago, it was at least 2 years ago, the Hanson family, Matthew's family, came up to Omaha, and we had Christmas with that side of the family here at our condo, and we ordered Dante lasagna for our main dish. And it was a lot of fun. A little bit of a non-traditional Christmas dinner, but super, super memorable for sure. I would easily do it again.
Let me tell you, if it was Thanksgiving, I'm all for anything but turkey. So let's go lasagna. That would be outstanding. Yeah. We actually have, and our neighbor does too, we're growing eggplant this year. I love eggplant lasagna. It's one of my favorite things to eat.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to them when they're good to go. That's one of the first things we're going to do with our. So that's the great thing about lasagna is that it can be a white sauce one. It can be an eggplant. You can have different kinds of sauces and meats and sausages. Yeah. It's all kind of different, you know, so many different ways to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of an old school dish, but I think it's fun when you see like a restaurant like Dante, for example, kind of taking something like that and updating it and making it really feel really relevant again.
By the way, it goes back to the 14th century. I was looking up when did it start. It's a 14th century dish.
It's been around for a while, I think it's safe to say.
Just for a while, people have been making it. I want a couple quick. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask you what you think. The numbers came out from the College World Series in terms of what folks ate this year. And they ate a lot, as always. Mm-hmm. What do you think was the number one selling item at the 2021 College World Series in the stadium?
I'm going to go with hot dog.
Yes, the jumbo hot dog. 45,596 sold.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Surprising me, number 2, the soft pretzel.
Wow.
Oh, I believe that. I think people this year really wanted like the true baseball experience.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got
Don't
two of
think?
them. We went.
Like,
maybe.
They missed it. They were so happy to have it back. You know, they just went for the classics. And I think, you know, even on the menus that they've done in the past where they've had more kind of creative offerings. This year, they just kind of went for those classics because they thought that was really what people were going to be hungry for. Matthew and I are going to a Cubs game in a couple weeks, and I'm looking forward to some stadium food for sure.
Yeah, they pretty much everybody gets like a brat and was it old style? Is that what they drink there? Old
sure
style?
Is.
Big old style up there.
So it went pretzels, peanuts, then cheeseburgers, then nachos, chicken strips, which I thought would be much more popular. All the way down here, right around popcorn, and then just regular hot dogs too. So that's kind of
the hot dog really takes down the hamburger in terms of what people eat at a baseball game.
Yeah, a lot easier too, and it's really hard to get a non-dry hot dog. Oh, no matter what they do, I mean not hot dog, hamburger. The hamburger's usually dry.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
What do you got coming up? Anything special?
Well, like I said, I've got a lot of stuff in my back pocket in the works. I had to be honest with Michael today and tell him that I've been so busy at my daytime job that my writing has taken a little bit of a back seat. But I do have a a deadline for a fun project coming up that I'll be able to share with you the next time we talk on the phone, hopefully. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've got a couple of reviews that I'm going to write. So, yeah, just really enjoying the summer and being able to go out and eat and just kind of like enjoying what Omaha has to offer for food.
Sounds awesome. Sarah, we appreciate it. Talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Sarah.
Sarah Baker Hansen, sarahbakerhansen.com. You can also get her newsletter as well that she sends out to your email. So when my cousin came in from Los Angeles, we wanted to go someplace for lunch. Her friend that she was staying with lives right over in Blackstone, so he's been to the Blackstone places. I was like, well, let's go down to Block 16 because she had seen the tweets and the Facebook post and all those. So we went there. And then he took her to Au Courant in Benson, which if you haven't gone, they have the chef menu where you walk in, and I think it's 40. And if you get wine, I think it's 50, maybe 60. And it's 5 courses, and it's whatever they're making that day.
Really?
Yeah. So whatever they think is cool that day, they make for you.
Where's the sushi place that you were mentioning?
That's also in Benson.
Okay.
Yeah. Yoshitomo is basically on the opposite side of the street. Au Courant's a little bit farther down.
Okay.
It's Au Courant, then it's Virtuoso Pizza, and then on the other side of the street, it's Yoshitomo.
Okay. Those
are some, obviously, the most popular ones over there when you talk about it. When we come back, I got an email from Dave, who actually works at UNC. He's an employee over at North Carolina, but he's a Nebraska fan, grew up here, has a question about what this season means for Scott Frost. We'll talk about that. Also, I want to propose a weight loss plan for us that involves somebody making money in our neighborhood.
Okay.
I'll tell you about that as well when we come back here on Severe and Benny in the Morning.
Welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome to the hood.